From colossal stone blocks no modern crane could lift, to civilizations buried beneath the ocean, today we're diving deep into some of the strangest unsolved mysteries of the ancient world. So sit back, relax, grab a snack, and let's jump into the mysteries where history itself seems to break apart.
Longyou Caves, the underground enigma with no builders, while the White Pyramid remains an enigma, home to another mystery just as baffling, one that isn't hidden in the mountains, but underground. In the Zhejiang province, deep beneath the earth, lies a series of immense, perfectly carved stone chambers. No historical records mention their construction, no tools have been found, and their purpose remains completely unknown. These are the Longyou Caves, hidden beneath the rolling hills of Zhejiang province in China. The Longyou Caves are one of the most perplexing archaeological discoveries ever made. Unlike the natural limestone caves scattered throughout China, these caverns are entirely man-made. Vast underground chambers, carved with near-perfect symmetry, intricate patterns, and an engineering precision that defies logic. What makes them even more mysterious is that no historical records mention their construction. No blueprints, no tools, no writings, nothing. It's as if an entire civilization built them and then erased all evidence of how or why they existed. And to this day, no one knows who created them, how they did it, or what purpose they served. The discovery of the caves was entirely accidental. In 1992, a local farmer, curious about the deep pools of water scattered across his village, decided to drain one. As the water receded, what emerged stunned him. Massive, smooth-walled chambers extending deep into the earth, unlike anything he had ever seen. Soon, other villagers followed suit, draining more pools, only to find more hidden chambers below. What they had uncovered was an underground complex spanning an estimated 30,000 square meters, each cavern meticulously carved from solid sandstone. To put it into perspective, the caves are so vast that if combined, they would cover the area of roughly 4 football fields. The ceilings soar up to 30 meters, 98 feet high, supported by evenly spaced stone pillars, and the walls are covered in a uniform pattern of chiseled markings, marks that seem too precise to be made with rudimentary hand tools. What makes the Longyou Caves so baffling is the sheer scale of labor that must have gone into their construction. Archaeologists estimate that nearly 1 million cubic meters of rock would have had to be excavated to create the caverns. If this was done with the tools available in ancient China, it would have taken thousands of workers working day and night for years, possibly decades. Yet, as advanced as the caves appear, no tools or construction materials have ever been found. There are no remains of workers, no leftover chisel marks from different stages of construction, and no debris from the excavation process. Where did all the displaced rock go? How did they move it? And why do the caves appear so immaculate? As if they were abandoned immediately after completion. Adding to the mystery is the fact that the caves are not randomly distributed. Each chamber is positioned with careful alignment, as if part of a much larger interconnected system. Some researchers speculate that the caves may have been used for storage, military purposes, or even as secret meeting places for an unknown group. Others suggest they may have had a spiritual or ceremonial function, perhaps linked to an ancient belief system long forgotten. Some believe they were once underground palaces or residences of a ruling elite, but without any inscriptions, artifacts, or evidence of habitation, all of these remain theories with no definitive answers. One of the most peculiar aspects of the Longyou Caves is their structural integrity. Despite being thousands of years old, dating back at least to the Qin dynasty in the 3rd century BC, if not earlier, the walls show no signs of erosion or collapse. Unlike many ancient structures that deteriorate over time, the caves remain remarkably intact, as if they were built to last indefinitely. The precision with which they were carved suggests an understanding of engineering far beyond what should have been possible at the time. Some have compared the caves to modern-day underground bunkers, capable of withstanding natural disasters, seismic activity, and even potential invaders. But if they were meant for protection, who or what were they hiding from? Another aspect that fuels speculation is the striking uniformity of the chisel marks found throughout the caves. These markings are consistent across all chambers, covering walls, pillars, and ceilings in a symmetrical, almost decorative fashion. The precision of the carvings suggests an advanced construction technique, possibly even a lost technology. Some have theorized that these marks were not made with traditional hand tools, but by a more sophisticated method, perhaps a lost ancient machine or technique, unknown to modern archaeology. Others have drawn comparisons to megalithic sites around the world, noting that civilizations separated by vast distances have often exhibited similar, unexplained feats of engineering. Some theories venture into more unorthodox territory, suggesting that the Longyou caves were built using sound frequencies or some form of ancient vibrational technology that softened the stone, allowing for easier excavation. While this may sound far-fetched, modern experiments have shown that sound waves can affect the structural integrity of materials. Could the ancient builders of Longyou have known something that we do not? Others speculate that caves may have once been filled with water intentionally, serving as reservoirs or even reflecting pools for celestial observations. Some of the cave floors contain sunken channels, almost as if they were designed for the movement of water, yet no irrigation systems have ever been found. Were the caves meant to be flooded? If so, what was their function when submerged? Despite various excavation attempts, archaeologists remain baffled. No bones, no pottery, no writings, nothing has been discovered to link the caves to a specific group or purpose. The complete absence of historical references is particularly strange, given China's extensive written records. If such a massive project was undertaken, why does no document, legend, or historical text mention it? In a country with a rich history of documentation, something as significant as the creation of these vast underground chambers should have left some trace. Yet it hasn't. As the mystery deepens, so does the curiosity of those who visit the site. Some believe the answer lies beneath the still unexplored sections of the caves, hidden behind yet-to-be excavated walls or deep within the surrounding hills. If more chambers exist, could they finally provide the missing clues to who built Longyou and why? Some archaeologists have suggested scanning the area with ground-penetrating radar in hopes of detecting additional structures that could shed light on the enigma. But for now, the caves remain a silent riddle, their creators lost to time. Göbekli Tepe, the 12,000-year-old site that changed history. Thousands of years before Piri Reis put ink to parchment, an even greater enigma was being carved into stone, one that defies our understanding of early civilization itself. In southeastern Turkey, buried beneath layers of earth for millennia, lies Göbekli Tepe, a site so ancient that it predates the invention of writing, the Great Pyramids, and even the first known cities. Yet its intricate carvings and massive stone pillars suggest a level of organization and skill that shouldn't have existed at the time. How was it built? And why was it buried? Let's take a closer look at one of the most mysterious archaeological discoveries in history. Göbekli Tepe is unlike anything else we've found in the ancient world. Tucked away in the rolling hills of southeastern Turkey, this site remained hidden beneath the earth for thousands of years, until a chance discovery in the 1960s hinted that something was buried there. But at the time, no one could have guessed what lay beneath. It wasn't until the 1990s, when German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt began excavations, that the true scale of Göbekli Tepe was revealed. What he uncovered would challenge everything we thought we knew about early civilization. Rising from the earth were massive, circular stone enclosures, each containing towering limestone pillars, arranged with precise intention. Some stood nearly 20 feet tall, weighing up to 20 tons each. But what was even more astonishing were the intricate carvings, animals, symbols, and humanoid figures etched into the stone. The level of craftsmanship and planning was undeniable. Yet, here was the problem. Göbekli Tepe is at least 12,000 years old, dating back to around 9600 BCE. That makes it the oldest known temple complex in the world, predating Stonehenge by over 6,000 years and the Great Pyramid by more than 7,000. At that time, humans were thought to be simple hunter-gatherers living in small, mobile groups with no cities, no agriculture, and certainly no ability to construct megalithic structures. Some researchers believe these animals may have had symbolic meanings, perhaps representing spiritual or mythological concepts. Others suggest they were warnings, signs of something dangerous or sacred. The site's layout itself is strange, with no evidence of permanent living spaces, making it unlikely to be a settlement. Instead, many believe Göbekli Tepe was a ceremonial site, a place of worship or ritual. Some suggest it could have been a gathering place where early humans came together for religious ceremonies, feasts, or even astronomical observations. The alignment of the site with certain stars hints at a possible connection to celestial movements. Later megalithic structures across the world. But here's where the mystery deepens. At some point, Göbekli Tepe was deliberately buried. The enclosures were filled in with dirt and debris, carefully covered as if to hide or preserve them. But why? Was it abandoned? Was it deemed too sacred, too dangerous? And who decided to erase it from history? One of the leading theories is that Göbekli Tepe played a crucial role in the transition from a hunter-gatherer society to an agricultural one. Some researchers believe that the effort required to construct and maintain the site may have led to early forms of organized labor and permanent settlements. In other words, civilization may have begun not with farming, but with religion. Another theory suggests that Göbekli Tepe was built by a forgotten advanced society, one that existed before the known rise of agriculture. Some researchers point to the possibility of a lost civilization, one wiped out by a global catastrophe such as the end of the last ice age. The Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, for example, proposes that a comet or asteroid struck Earth around 12,800 years ago, triggering sudden climate shifts and massive flooding. Some believe this event could have wiped out an early advanced culture, leaving behind only ruins like Göbekli Tepe as remnants of their existence. But there's also the possibility that Göbekli Tepe was a product of a highly skilled group of hunter-gatherers, one that simply defies our expectations of what early humans were capable of. Maybe the knowledge required to build this site existed long before we thought, passed down through generations in ways we can't yet understand. If Göbekli Tepe was indeed a temple, it would mean that early humans developed religious or spiritual beliefs long before they settled into farming communities. The structure suggests large-scale cooperation, meaning that different groups must have worked together to build it. But what were they worshipping? Some researchers believe the carvings on the pillars could represent constellations, linking the site to the stars and celestial events. Others think it may have been a burial site or a place of ancestral reverence, where rituals honoring the dead took place. One of the strangest discoveries at the site was the complete lack of tools or artifacts associated with daily life. Unlike other ancient sites, there are no signs of pottery, permanent dwellings, or domestic structures. This has led to speculation that Göbekli Tepe was never meant to be lived in. It was always a place set apart, meant for something greater than day-to-day survival. Göbekli Tepe forces archaeologists to reconsider the timeline of human development. If our ancestors could construct such a complex site thousands of years before the first cities appeared, what else were they capable of? And if this knowledge existed so early, where did it come from? Some believe Göbekli Tepe is just the beginning, that other sites, possibly even older, are waiting to be discovered. Could this be a missing link in our history, evidence of an ancient forgotten knowledge that predates everything we know? Despite decades of excavation, Göbekli Tepe still holds more secrets than answers. Every layer unearthed raises new questions, and with each new discovery, history as we know it continues to shift. And just like the builders of this mysterious site, ancient civilizations have left behind structures that defy explanation all across the world. Some, carved from solid rock, seem almost impossible even by today's standards. Göbekli Tepe is proof that the past holds secrets we never expected. Rohonc Codex, the book no one can read. But sometimes, those secrets aren't found in ancient temples or massive stone structures. Sometimes they're hidden in ink. Written down centuries ago, but locked away behind an unbreakable code. A book filled with symbols no one has ever deciphered. A text that doesn't match any known language, and a mystery that has confounded scholars, cryptographers, and linguists for over 200 years. This is the Rohonc Codex, one of the strangest unsolved puzzles in history. The story of the Rohonc Codex begins in Hungary, but its origins stretch back much further. The manuscript first surfaced in the early 19th century, when it was donated to the Hungarian Academy of Sciences by a nobleman named Gustav Batthyány. The book had been part of his family's private collection, but how it got there, no one knows. It's not a large book, just 448 pages, each filled with a strange, unknown script. The pages are filled with dense writing, written from left to right, line after line of cryptic symbols. At first glance, it looks like a medieval manuscript, maybe a religious or historical text, but here's the problem. No one can read it. The alphabet doesn't match any known language. The characters appear completely unique. Over 200 individual symbols, more than any known written script. And the deeper researchers looked, the stranger it got. It's not just the writing that's baffling. The Rohonc Codex also contains illustrations, detailed sketches depicting religious scenes, battles, cityscapes, and figures that appear to be saints, kings, and warriors. Some images look like Christian iconography, while others hint at Islamic and Hindu influences. An odd mix for a single manuscript. The artwork raises even more questions. The depictions of medieval life suggest that the book was created sometime between the 15th and 18th centuries. but the mix of religious imagery is confusing. If it were a Christian text, why include elements of Eastern traditions? If it were Islamic or Hindu in nature, why does it contain crosses? Whatever its purpose, one thing is certain. This book wasn't meant to be forgotten. The writing is meticulous, the illustrations carefully placed. Whoever created it wanted it to be understood. But for centuries, it has remained locked behind its cryptic script. For over 200 years, scholars have tried to crack the Rohonc Codex. Linguists, historians, mathematicians, even military codebreakers, all have failed. One of the first serious efforts to decode the book came in the 19th century, when Hungarian scholars examined it alongside other known languages from the region. Hungarian, Latin, Romanian, even Sanskrit, but nothing matched. Later, in the 20th century, experts turned to frequency analysis, a technique used to break ciphers by identifying recurring patterns in the text. But even this led nowhere. The symbols in the codex don't follow the normal patterns of language. Some words repeat, some characters appear more frequently than others, but not in a way that resembles any known grammar structure. It's as if the entire book was written in a lost language, or worse, complete nonsense. Over the years, many theories have emerged about the Rohonc Codex. Some are grounded in historical possibility, others are far more speculative. One theory suggests that the Codex is a religious text, possibly from a secret Christian sect. The mix of religious imagery could indicate a hybrid faith, blending elements from different traditions. But if that's the case, why would the script be completely unrecognizable? Others believe it could be a forgotten language, a dialect from a small community that disappeared long ago. Some historians have speculated that it might be connected to the Székely Hungarian Rohonc script, an old form of writing once used in Hungary. But even this doesn't match the structure of the codex. Then there's the theory that the book is a hoax. Some skeptics believe the Rohonc Codex isn't an ancient mystery at all, but rather an elaborate fake. They point out that the script seems too random, lacking the structure found in real languages. The symbols don't follow natural linguistic patterns, making some researchers believe it was made up. If true, that raises another question. Why? Was it a prank? A 19th century forgery meant to trick historians? A nobleman's attempt to create an ancient-looking relic? If that's the case, the creator went to extraordinary lengths to make it convincing. But here's the problem. No one has ever proven it's fake. Forgery or not, the Rohonc Codex remains a person hire. If it's meaningless, why go to the trouble of writing 448 pages of text? Why include detailed illustrations? If someone invented the script, why use over 200 unique characters, far more than any known language? And most importantly, if it's a hoax, why has no one been able to definitively prove it? Despite countless efforts, the Rohonc Codex remains undeciphered. Modern technology has analysed it, but still, no one has been able to read a single sentence. Was it a lost language? A secret code? A prank from history? No one knows, and until someone finally cracks its meaning, the Rohonc Codex will remain one of history's strangest and most impenetrable mysteries. But it's not the only lost knowledge that haunts historians. Sometimes, the truth isn't hidden in a book, but in stone, buried beneath the earth, far away from prying eyes. The Rohonc Codex is a book no one can read, a mystery trapped within its undeciphered symbols. White Pyramid of China. The forbidden megastructure. Our next mystery delves into something even more elusive, a structure so massive, so carefully hidden, that even today, its existence remains shrouded in secrecy. Deep in the heart of China, hidden beneath layers of soil and vegetation, lies a pyramid that is said to be larger than any in Egypt, a monument deliberately concealed from the outside world. Could this be the lost tomb of an unknown emperor, or is it something even more extraordinary? Up next, the White Pyramid of China. Hidden deep within the remote landscapes of China's Shaanxi province, a series of enormous pyramidal structures has sparked decades of speculation, secrecy, and intrigue. These are not just hills or natural formations, as some might assume at first glance. These are ancient pyramids, eerily reminiscent of those found in Egypt and Mesoamerica, yet shrouded in mystery and largely unknown to the world. Unlike the Great Pyramids of Giza, which stand proudly against the desert skyline, China's pyramids have been deliberately concealed by the government, planted over with trees, covered with soil, and left to be forgotten. At the heart of this enigma is the so-called White Pyramid of China, a structure so immense that if the accounts are to be believed, it may dwarf even the Great Pyramid of Giza in scale. But why would such a monument be kept hidden? What secrets could it hold beneath its layers of earth and secrecy? The first widely known report of the White Pyramid surfaced in 1945 at the tail end of World War II. US Air Force pilot James Gaussman was flying a reconnaissance mission over China when he spotted an enormous, gleaming white structure rising from the landscape below. According to his account, the pyramid appeared to be made of a bright, reflective material, possibly metal or some kind of stone, and was unlike anything he had ever seen. Gaussman's description was detailed. He claimed the structure had smooth, perfectly symmetrical sides and stood at an estimated height of at least 1,000 feet, which, if true, would make it significantly larger than Egypt's Great Pyramid. Upon returning to base, he documented what he had seen, even sketching out the structure. But his report was quickly buried, lost in military archives, and dismissed as an unverified anomaly. The story might have ended there, if not for another sighting several years later. In 1947, another American pilot, Colonel Maurice Sheehan, reported seeing a similar massive white pyramid while flying over China. This time, the claim made it into newspapers, with a report appearing in the New York Times. Once again, the structure was described as larger than anything known at the time, with smooth, sloping sides and an almost otherworldly appearance. Despite these compelling accounts, no photographic evidence from these flights has ever surfaced, leading some to question whether these pilots were mistaken, or if what they saw was deliberately erased from the public record. What is known, however, is that the region they described is indeed home to numerous ancient pyramid-like structures, most of which remain unexplored. Unlike the well-documented pyramids of Egypt, China's pyramids have been kept in the shadows, with minimal excavation and even less public acknowledgement. The Chinese government has long been reluctant to allow foreign researchers access to these sites, and some believe this secrecy is no coincidence. The Chinese pyramids, including the elusive White Pyramid, are believed to be burial mounds for ancient emperors dating back to the Western Han Dynasty and possibly even earlier. These emperors, much like the pharaohs of Egypt, were buried with vast treasures, intricate tombs, and elaborate artifacts meant to accompany them into the afterlife. One of the most famous examples of this is the tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, located near Xi'an, which houses the legendary Terracotta Army. Despite being one of the most significant archaeological sites in the world, the main burial chamber of Qin Shi Huang remains completely sealed to this day, with archaeologists hesitant to open it due to high levels of toxic mercury reported in the area. Some researchers speculate that the White Pyramid could be an even grander burial site, potentially belonging to an emperor whose name has been lost to history. The reluctance to excavate these pyramids may stem from both practical and cultural reasons. Chinese authorities have often cited concerns over preservation, arguing that opening these sites too soon could lead to irreversible damage. Others, however, believe the secrecy runs deeper, that there is something within these pyramids that the government does not want the world to see. Some of the more speculative theories suggest that the White Pyramid could be evidence of an advanced ancient civilization, one with knowledge or technology that predates what we currently understand. There have even been whispers of extraterrestrial connections, fueled by the descriptions of the structure as unnaturally smooth and highly reflective. While such theories remain firmly in the realm of speculation, they persist due to the sheer lack of access to the site. Even today, satellite images confirm the existence of large, pyramid-like structures scattered throughout the region, some covered with dense forestry, others barely distinguishable from the surrounding hills. Provide tantalizing clues, yet without on-the-ground excavation, their full significance remains unknown. Adding to the mystery are the accounts of local villagers who have long spoken of strange happenings in the region. Some tell stories of unusual lights appearing near the pyramids at night, while others claim that for generations there have been legends warning people to stay away from the ancient mounds. Could these accounts be simple folklore, or is there something buried beneath these structures that modern science has yet to uncover? Some historians suggest that these pyramids may hold lost historical records, scrolls, or artifacts that could rewrite our understanding of early Chinese civilization. Unlike Egypt, where hieroglyphics have provided a direct link to the past, many of China's ancient texts have been lost over time, particularly during periods of political upheaval. If these pyramids contain well-preserved writings or objects from thousands of years ago, they could provide insights into a forgotten chapter of human history. The true nature of the White Pyramid, if it exists in the form described by the pilots, remains one of archaeology's greatest unknowns. Despite repeated attempts by independent researchers to gain access to the region, China has remained firm in restricting excavation. Whether this is due to national heritage concerns, government policy, or the presence of something that defies explanation, we may never know. What is clear, however, is that China's pyramids are real, and their secrets remain buried beneath centuries of earth, waiting to be uncovered. If the White Pyramid is indeed hidden among them, it could be one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of all time, or it could be a mystery that is destined to remain unsolved.
Baalbek megaliths, the impossible stone blocks. Baalbek is one of those places that seems to defy explanation. Nestled in modern-day Lebanon, this ancient site is famous for its towering Roman temples, built to honor Jupiter, Venus, and Bacchus. But as impressive as those ruins are, they sit on something far older, something far stranger, the Baalbek megaliths. These stones are impossibly massive. The largest among them, known as the trilithon, consists of 3 limestone blocks, each weighing between 800 and 1,000 tons. They are placed perfectly, stacked 12 meters above the ground with no visible mortar, as if they were gently lowered into place. But the real mystery is the stone of the pregnant woman, an even larger block weighing an estimated 1,200 tons. It still lies abandoned in the quarry, seemingly carved and ready to be moved, except no one knows how that could have been possible. Theories about how these stones were transported and placed range from conventional to controversial. The mainstream belief: The Romans were responsible. After all, they were master builders, constructing aqueducts, temples, and roads that have stood for thousands of years. Some historians suggest that they had the means to move the megaliths using cranes, pulleys, and sheer manpower. But there's a problem with this explanation. No known Roman engineering feats come close to moving stones of this size. Even their most advanced construction projects never attempted to lift anything close to 1,000 tons. It's as if they built their temples on top of something far older. That's why some researchers believe Baalbek predates the Romans entirely. Some accounts suggest that the site was originally built by the Phoenicians, an ancient maritime civilization that once ruled the Mediterranean. Others push the timeline even further back, claiming that the site is pre-Phoenician, meaning it could be thousands of older than recorded history suggests. If true, that would mean a lost civilization, not Rome, was responsible for moving these stones. But if that's the case, who were they? And more importantly, how did they do it? There are those who believe Baalbek was built using a lost form of ancient technology. Perhaps the builders had an advanced understanding of counterweights, pressure manipulation, or even sound frequencies that could make heavy objects easier to move. Some speculate that the answer lies in forgotten techniques, methods of construction that have been erased by time, lost before they could ever be written down. If we knew how they did it, what else might we discover about the ancient world? And then, there's the most controversial theory of all, that Baalbek's stones were moved with the help of something beyond human ability. Ancient astronaut theorists have pointed to the sheer size and impossible precision of the megaliths, suggesting that Baalbek may have once been a landing site for extraterrestrial visitors. Some believe that its position, its alignment, and its construction indicate that it was more than just a temple. It was something older, something built for a purpose we don't yet understand. There's no solid evidence for this, but the idea has persisted for decades. What we do know is this: no one has ever successfully explained how these stones were moved. They remain one of the greatest engineering puzzles of the ancient world. If a civilization thousands of years ago had the capability to transport and position them, what else were they capable of, and what other secrets could still be hidden beneath the ruins of Baalbek? But Baalbek isn't the only mystery that forces us to rethink what we know about history. The past is filled with impossible artifacts, things that shouldn't exist but do. Feel free to let this play in the background while you work, relax, or even fall asleep to these eerie, unsolved mysteries. And if you'd like to support me making these videos and get access to exclusive stories and all of our videos ad-free, consider becoming a Patreon member. The link is in the comments below. Now back to the stories. And next, we move to one of the most debated pieces of evidence ever discovered, a 16th century map that appears to show Antarctica without ice. Before we dive into the next mystery, just a quick note. While the visuals in this video will provide extra context, they aren't necessary to enjoy the stories.
Piri Reis map. A 16th century map of the impossible. The Piri Reis map is an anomaly in historical cartography. Discovered in 1929 by German theologian Gustav Deissmann in the archives of Istanbul's Topkapi Palace, the map had been tucked away for centuries, forgotten in a dusty stack of old documents. Upon closer examination, it was revealed to be the work of Piri Reis, an Ottoman admiral, navigator, and cartographer who created it in 1513. At first glance, it seemed like a typical early 16th century world map, detailing the coastlines of Europe, Africa, and the newly discovered Americas. But the more researchers studied it, the more it became clear this was no ordinary map. What makes the Piri Reis map so controversial is a particular landmass drawn along its lower edge. Many believe this landmass is Antarctica, yet there's a problem. Antarctica wasn't officially discovered until 1820, more than 300 years after the map was made. Even more puzzling, the landmass is depicted not as the frozen wasteland we know today, but with detailed coastlines and topographical features, as if it had been mapped when it was free of ice. Modern geological studies suggest that Antarctica may have been ice-free more than 6,000 years ago, long before any known civilization was capable of such precise cartography. How did Piri Reis know about this? The admiral himself left some clues in handwritten notes scrawled along the margins of the map.
He claimed that his work was not original but was compiled from multiple older sources, some dating back to the time of Alexander the Great. He referenced maps taken from 20 ancient charts and 8 new maps of the Arabs and Hindus. If true, this would mean that Piri Reis had access to knowledge passed down from far older civilizations, perhaps ones with seafaring capabilities far beyond what we previously believed. Some theorists argue that the Piri Reis map is evidence of an advanced, lost civilization, one that mapped the world in astonishing detail long before recorded history. They suggest that fragments of this knowledge survived the collapse of ancient societies and were later incorporated into Renaissance-era maps by explorers and cartographers who had no idea of their true origins. This theory is supported by the fact that other medieval and Renaissance maps, such as the Orontius Phineas map and the Zeno map, also depict landmasses resembling Antarctica with surprising accuracy. Others believe that the map has been misinterpreted. Some scholars argue that what appears to be Antarctica is actually an incorrect rendering of South America. Mapmakers of the 16th century often distorted coastlines due to the way they compiled their charts from scattered reports and second-hand accounts. Some parts of the world were stretched or compressed to fit the limited knowledge of the time, leading to inaccuracies that might explain the apparent presence of Antarctica. Another possibility is that early sailors, possibly from Phoenician, Chinese, or even pre-Columbian European civilizations, traveled much further than history acknowledges, documenting coastlines that were later lost to time. If so, the Piri Reis map could be a remnant of an ancient navigational tradition that has since disappeared, leaving only tantalizing hints behind. Despite decades of study, no definitive answer has emerged. Did Piri Reis unknowingly preserve the last echoes of a lost civilization? Or is this simply a case of cartographic error, a trick of distorted geography that only appears mysterious in hindsight? Whatever the truth, the Piri Reis map remains one of history's most enduring puzzles, a document that continues to challenge everything we thought we knew about the past. But the Piri Reis map is not the only ancient mystery that challenges what we thought we knew about history.